Welcome back to part 2 of the bunk bed build. Today we're going to be talking about this little hole right here. What is it? It's a mortise. What's it for? Is to connect the tenon into it so that you get that interlocked part of the whole entire system. Let's go ahead and look at the tools you need and how we're going to be able to do it. The basic tools that you're going to be needing are just going to be like a marking knife or something like that to create your lines with whenever you're measuring out for your mortise. You're going to also need a chisel that will fit in between the two lines. You're going to need something to remove all the waste while you're chopping. That way you can see what you're actually cutting and make sure that you're not going too deep or too wide and things like that. You're going to also need a square of some sorts to actually make your lines for the length of your mortise. Now you can use a regular marking gauge, that's fine, but I've got a mortising gauge, so I'm going to be using that. It's got two separate pins, so you're going to get consistent lines on each and every set that I'm doing. To begin with, all I'm going to be doing is throwing the boards up together to create more of a stable position so that the boards aren't tipping back and forth. I'm going to be using 2 at a time, that way they're all on the faces are all going to be in the correct order. If I put 4 of them together, 2 of them would not be correct with the face. So I'm going to just be using my mortising gauge and marking out the width of my mortise. Then I'm going to be coming back and using a square, and it's simply just measuring off the end of your 2x4 and getting your marks. You can also use your 2x4 tenon and just make your marks that way as well, just by tracing out the length of your tenon. After doing that, it's simply just drilling out the main holes. That way you remove the bulk of the waste. I'm going to be using a brace and bit, with the bit just being smaller than the actual mortise. That way if I make a mistake in positioning, it's not going to affect it, and I got a little bit of play, and I'll just chop out the sides of the mortise. It's no big deal. If you don't have a brace and bit, you don't have to worry. You can use a drill, just using a cheap Black & Decker drill with a Forstner bit on it, and it's just going to work fine. But for me, it's a lot easier to use brace and bit, so that's the way I'm going to sweat this one out. For me, the brace and bit and the drill are about the same speed. I've got a 10-inch swing on this brace, so I can hog out a lot of material in the same amount of time. When I get done with all of the drilling, I go ahead and clear out most of the waste that I can, and then I'm just going to be taking my chisel, chopping out the main portions of the side. Then I'm going to be working on the 2 ends. Now for me, it was easy just to go back and forth from one side to do the sides and then the end, and then the sides and the end, working my way down until I got down to the bottom. And each time I'm just clearing out the waste, just making sure I'm not going to go too deep or cracking the wood. This is pine, so it's really easy to crack, so you got to be careful of that. You're just going to be doing final cleanup and stuff like that along the way, just making sure all your sides are going to be flat. And then it's time to grab your tenon that you've been working on. I went ahead and numbered what tenon I'm going to be using with this hole. I've had to do a little bit of tweaking on the tenon to make it perfect fit for this, and it's just trial and error. You test it, and then if it's a little big, you can go down on the tenon, or your mortise wall might be at a different angle that you have to adjust. And as you can see, it's going to slip right in there now. You don't want it too tight to where it's going to be splitting the wood apart, but then again, you don't want it too loose. So this is a very good fit. So there you have it. After all these mortises and tenons are all done, now you can finally get it all dry fit together. It's all nice and flush and everything. I'm going to actually be doing a drawbore mortise on this, so I'll actually be drilling holes in here and pull the system even tighter together. That'll be in the part 3 of this build. If you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead, hit the thumbs up button down below. Also, if this is your first time, welcome, and hit that subscribe button. Also, check out part 1 of the bunk bed build, as well as all my other videos that are on here. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything like that, go ahead and leave them in the box below, and I'll see you guys on the next video.